So today we're going to walk back from the camp on the top of Highdown Hill in a slightly different direction. There's the hill ahead of me, and I'll walk round slowly so you can see one or two other walkers out and about these days. And there's the coast. It goes all the way, you can see, from Seven Sisters all the way along the south coast, and it's a little bit hazy today, so I shan't try and make you see it, but there's Isle of Wight in the distance there. Now we're going to carry on walking down here towards the mill, just visible there. I hope you can hear the skylarks above me. And the sound as though there are hundreds of them today. So today we're going to try to walk down through the farm just over here, and beyond that green fields, one slightly brown field. Beyond those buildings there, that's the big Asda and the Asda car park. Beyond that there is a farm. We're going to walk through that farm. There's a skylark, look! If you were able to see that, I'll check later. They're a little bit agitated, some of them around here, because I think they're nesting on the ground just on top of the hill here. Allowed to. They're currently on a slightly different path, but we're going through the same gate at the end here, I imagine. here's the three-way signpost with its information about the, oh, it's a four-way, sorry, footpath. Sign with the bridleway down below closed, but if you remember on the previous walk we still managed to walk through it. So here's the gate. This seems to be quite a busy path, this one today, but it's there is a shortage of, there are several car parks, including a couple serving Highdown Hill itself, but they're currently closed. I think one of them, the main one, is only closed because they're using it as a storage facility for the contractors who are doing some work on Highdown Gardens, but it does mean that a lot of people are having to walk up from a different direction. So I think these people possibly parked in car park in Ferring, the other way. Anyway, we'll pass by at a respectable distance. Farms, looks like a field of rape probably over there on the side of the downs proper, and another farm just over here. Very wide area of wooded countryside running right through to the downs. The area beyond this, as you can see here, is a very densely wooded area as well, running right down to the sea. But we're going to walk just this side of it today. So we're approaching the mill now. You can see it ahead of us with its distinctive shape. Early here.
How many horses did we see? 2 horses? I asked. 2 horses or 3 horses?
rather large pile of horse manure from the stables we're approaching. There's a better view of the adjoining farm and the Fox pub in the background. Splendid isolation there. And you can actually just see the church spire to the right of that yellow field. Road to the farm, and there's the signpost telling us we have to go this way. So this path is lined. I'm trying to capture this red admiral flying in front of us, but I'm not sure whether we'll see it. I'm not actually sure it is a red admiral. It looks remarkably like a peacock. So there we are, the first peacock butterfly of the season. And nettles all the way along this path, many of them currently in flower. And so we come now to the junction of the paths just by the old mill. And as I was saying, the mill is now occupied and is in an area now used as a stable, and you can see the stables here. The horses are no doubt out in the pasture further down. We'll see those in a moment. Here's the footpath, and I think if we look over to the right here, there we can see what looks like a cart horse and a Shetland pony of some sort. So we'll move in this direction where the earth has dried out, slightly uneven, so I'm going to have to watch my step going down here. So because of the enclosed nature of this footpath, you can see that people have been walking down the other side of the fence here, which has a slightly more open feeling. But this is fine. That's some nice flowers coming out up here on the hawthorn trees, quite early. Walker coming in the other direction, having to wait for me to emerge from this rather narrow path. And so, as it's suggested on the notice at the top, this bridleway is closed here. But we're going to walk in the opposite direction, this way. You can see we're skirting the farm here. Despite the shutdown, I'm very happy to say that this garden centre sells fresh fruit and veg, and also a whole range of durables, tinned food, and even toilet rolls. And of course the garden centre alongside of it, with its array of plants straight out of the greenhouse, is also open. So that's a very popular place to visit during this period. So there's a very nice little garden here, a sort of orchard, which I think is connected to the same farm. So this is some sort of plum, I believe. Well, this is an acer, that's not a fruit tree. Very nice cherry tree over there. That I think was an apple, and again that's a silver birch, so not a fruit tree, but there's the entrance, and it probably is the same place since it's called Bocklesdown Paddocks. So we'll carry on along this bridleway a little bit further, and shortly along here there is a footpath going off to the left which runs through the farm and we're going to look for that now. Robin in the tree there, can you see that? So on a hot day like today, this is a very pleasant walk, very shaded. There's actually a light breeze today too, which makes it rather pleasant. In fact, I'm wearing nothing but a t-shirt anyway. So some bluebells for those of you that haven't seen them yet. And some buttercups. Actually, this path is lined with, I think this is a celandine over here. Quite nice, hiding under the bushes. This path is lined with a quite wide variety of wildflowers, but I'm not attempting to identify them all. Celandines in great number here, I think. Okay, so here's the footpath. So we're going to turn off the bridleway here and go through this gate into the farm. Slightly difficult with one hand. And here we are. We're going to walk down this footpath now, down this long line of trees, clearly forming some sort of windbreak. We have crops growing on the right here, look as though they might be wheat, and I think wheat on the left too. Seems as though it was planted a little earlier though, so maybe for a different time. Strange experience during the self-isolation period, to be able to walk through a vast farm like this and not see a single soul in any direction. lower part is full of people picking their own. But with a bit of luck, the isolation restrictions will be lifted in the summer when the fruit becomes ripe. And of course you will see this area full of children, parents trying to pick and children trying to eat. So this path is rather long, and actually not terribly interesting, so I'm going to stop here and restart when I get to the end. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the path now. That saved you 10 minutes of boring walk and my boring commentary. So you might like to see this point down here. Yarrow growing on the side here. And as we come to the end of this path here, you can see the footpath sign. Garden centre. Just letting those people walk past, and I'm going to in fact keep going in this direction. So my footpath leads in this direction. Slightly less windy now beside this hedge, rather fortunately. Seems to be paved with daisies and dandelions. So we come to the end here, and the gate, as you can see, goes through onto the main road. Slightly busier today. A few more cars seem to be out and about than before. So the footpath goes straight across this road, so this will be fun. Just one car coming, in fact, at this very moment, so that's good. And over I go. And one car in the distance, so I'm going to carry on over here. Let these bicycles go past. There is actually a bicycle lane on this side here, as you can see, but cyclists seem to prefer to drive on the footpath. And actually, who can blame them? And as you can see, despite the lockdown, there is a bus service running along here. In fact, here's the bus stop. And there's a cyclist using the cycle lane. Good for him. So the buses, of course, stop by request. And we are very fortunate here that this bus service runs a very long way along the south coast from Brighton to Littlehampton, which covers much of the south coast conurbation. So we come here to a fairly degraded sign, but it does say public footpath. There we are, and it goes through a stonemason's yard. So this is a good place to come if you want to have a new fireplace. Walking on private property. We have to walk this way. Another good old example of Sussex flintwork. This is adjoining the farm here, so I guess it was at one time a barn. I seem to be being approached by a farm vehicle, so I'm going to let him pass. And over here we have a design studio for garden houses. Some rather wonderful examples of sub houses and garden offices. And on the farm, of course, some farm houses. This is where the farm workers normally be. Well, this is where they would normally leave and come back to, but there's no doubt they're all in there at the moment. Nice cottagey houses. Some nice honeysuckle on the hedge there too. Okay, so the concrete comes to an end here, and we're going to follow the footpath round the corner, which runs down the side of this field. So you can see just on the side over here, this is the big Asda supermarket. And we're going to walk straight on. So over on the right here you can see all the farm machinery. Not a busy time of year for that. This is their water storage tank here. Coast Flyer. Good timing, we can cross the railway line now. So there's a stile here. Just make sure nothing's coming. Nothing that way. Nothing that way. There's the stile the other side. So there is a footpath that runs down the side of this field here and round the bottom of the paddock, but it's not the legitimate footpath, it just simply is one that people have tended to take. The footpath actually goes diagonally across the fields here, so we're going to do that now. You can see the sign here telling us we're on a legitimate path, so we go through this kissing gate. And you can see the gates ahead of you. The footpath goes right through the middle. So the path has been walked before, as you can see, and the gates clearly mark it as a footpath running diagonally right through the middle of the field. One-handed. Also goes round the field in that direction, but I think it's actually legitimately part of the farm. So there's a rope tied on here which I wonder if that's because they'd prefer us not to go that way. Well, too bad. This is the footpath. I'll tie it up again after. Another rather large working horse over there. And we come now to the final kissing gate from these fields here. And had I walked all the way round, the path would come down here and meet up with this kissing gate anyway. And there's the footpath sign, one pointing diagonally across the fields the way we've just come, and the other along this riverbank here. So we're going to go along this way, lined with bulrushes, sorrel, there's a little bit of water in there at the moment, and in fact the main river runs over here. Oops, if I come up to the fence. Those reeds look as though they're thatching reeds. Rather a nice bed of those there. So another nice shady footpath alongside the river. Rather pleasant, open fields through. And we continue along this path. Now there are some people coming, so I'm going to try and step off the path here to let them through.
Thank you.
And some more people here, looking for somewhere to stand to let me through. Okay, they seem to have gone past, so I'll carry on down this path. My camera keeps saying that I've used up all the storage, so it may well be that this is going to be the end of the recording, in which case I'll try to get to the end here, but otherwise I shall finish it off another time. Okay, so we come out of the end here. I'm going to stop to let people go past. And there we have the Rife. We've made it that far. And you can see there's just over here. Out of the farm in that direction. If it cuts off, the other side of that farm is Ferring and the Ilex way back to Goring. We'll walk around this way. It's a little bit muddy after a day or two of rain, and this is the Ferring County Centre here, country centre, which is rather a nice organisation, run principally by people with special needs. They have a stables, a farm shop, they have greenhouses at the back where you can get plants, and a nice little community cafe, sadly all closed at the moment. There's a holiday homes here, also nothing much happening there at the moment. We'll go over this bridge. Here's the Rife here, and we're going to go down this side. So you can see a selection of signposts here. One goes diagonally straight through the paddocks over here. You can just about make out stiles in each corner, but we're going to walk down this way here on this side of the Rife. A little bit breezy here. I hope this isn't affecting the audio too much. So as well as maintaining the nurseries and the cafe, the residents at the country centre also maintain the area, so you can see this has all been nicely mowed and trees planted down here, so it's rather a pleasant walk. These are the fields I walked across a few moments go. All looking rather splendid today, although you can see the effects of the rains for the last couple of days. And let you listen to the birds. One of the beauties of walking at this time is that there's hardly anyone about at all. It's quite a shock to see two people standing on the bridge over there. So here's another footpath. It's a good example of how things have grown up around the footpaths. You can see there's a bridge here and a stile, and the footpath goes diagonally across that field, which is completely lined with electric fences and actually quite a lot of water at the moment, so it's not pleasant, but it's a paddock and it is a public right of way. You can just about make out maybe the stile at the far corner there by that blue hut. I'll walk that one day, maybe when it's a bit drier, just to keep it open. Going over the bridge. We're going to go down here. I have to say my favourite footpaths are those that have survived urbanisation, and here we have a good example with properties on both sides of me, but the footpath kept open and indeed maintained by local people.
Come on, you come past.
Thanks. One of the hazards at the moment of these narrow lanes. And this is a particularly good example of a footpath that's been maintained. It's tricky to spot it coming in the other direction because it runs through somebody's house. See, there is a sign here. So we'll walk along this road. This is a typical seaside residential road. Open and airy, no pavements, but grass verge is maintained for pedestrians if they need to get off the road. We're going to turn up here, although it seems to be a dead end. There is in fact a hole in the hedge up here. Irises here, you might like to see on the way past. And here's the hole in the hedge. Over here there is a continuation of the footpath. There we are. Nice bush of lilac here. And through onto Ferring playing fields. There are some dog walkers over there. Tennis courts not in use, of course. Ferring Football Club stand. That's not in use either. We're going to walk along this side of the field here, where the footpath continues out onto the road. Nice facility, if only people were allowed to use it at the moment. Okay, so there's the continuation of the footpath here. And it goes down through here. Managed to find a little gap on the bank there so that we could keep apart, and round this corner we should emerge on someone's front drive here. But the front drive also is a public footpath. There's a footpath sign just to confirm we're not trespassing. I'm going to cross the road here to show you this house, which has a rather nice display of clematis and wisteria. So that's quite nice, isn't it? Rather pretty, and this is a different sort of flint brickwork. As you can see, the flints have all been carved into squares before building. Turning them in effect into bricks, rather attractive. This is dated 1759, so quite an old structure. And we're going to walk down this way. So as you can see, we're in Ferring now. This is just outside of the village here. see another nice house over here with I'm going to cross over here because I'm walking on the wrong side of the road. A little bit busier here as we're in the village and the surrounding town. So I'm just going to move over here and take a break for a moment. So I thought we might cross over here and walk through the church. I always think it's rather amusing to see a defibrillator in a graveyard, but never mind. So this route leads us again to Little Twitten, which we've walked before. Here we are. And we'll carry on to the end, but then I'm going to take a slightly different route from there. This has been tilled, ready for wildflowers, which they plant at this time of year, so there should be a nice wildflower bed at some stage. So even a tiny village, as you can see, still manages to have a cricket pitch. New house being built here. You might like to see the construction method. All in place, ready for insulating. Take advantage of this little gap here. Hardly a car in sight. Oh, there's a car coming. Gosh. And we won't go down this path today. We're going to walk down here a little way. Some social distancing. Dog walkers here.
Play the game against the robot, and it's the person that gets the best score.
And here we are at the start of the public footpath through Ilex Way. I'm just going to walk up here a short distance before we go there so you can see across the fields to the sea. And I believe some of the more unusual red chestnut trees are coming into bloom. Let's go and see if we can find some red candles. And there we are, look at that. There we are, what do you think? Some nice red candles. So they've just started mowing the grass verges, so this is going to be noisy for a second. But you can see the footpath sign ahead. We're going to turn off there, so I'll shut this off as I go past Mo Farah. Right, we turned off onto this footpath here to avoid the noise of the mower. I'm going to step up here so that we can see across the fields. Oh, and there's the sea in the distance. Isn't that nice? We're just going to walk up this way here. Where we come back onto Ilex Way. And I'm just going to walk along here until the film ends so that you can listen to the birds.